Later that night, he was in the male observation unit, and there were further incidents there. On June 27th, he was in 3 North. There isn't, in the reports that we have, explanations as to how he ends up in these different units. But we know from the reports that he issued in his own handwriting that he had been constantly talking about the fear that he had of violence. So on June 27th, while in 3 North, an officer noticed that, by looking on a camera, that it looked like he was going to jump from a top area. And he also ultimately did jump down from a ledge inside of the jail. That's concerning to us because in the January incident, he was attacked, and he said that he wanted to escape the attack by jumping from a ledge in that incident. And he reports that on the officers, now, so far everything that I've given is in the actual sheriff's office reports. July 15th, he was taken to 4 North, and he had yelled to them that that was the same floor where he was attacked previously. He yelled and yelled and yelled and yelled repeatedly until they had to take some action and remove him from there. We find that in July, on the 25th, he was in 7 North. He reported an attack. The officer said that he had blood on his face, and that there was clear indication that he had been physically harmed. By August 12th, he was in 3 South. Again, we have no explanation about these different movements. He reported an attack, and the officer noted that they removed him from 3 South at that time for his safety. So the investigation that they found, they believed that he, again, needed to be moved for his safety because of the threats and violence that were coming at him. At that time, they noticed he had multiple scratches, he was bleeding, and he had bite marks. He mailed a detailed federal complaint on August the 17th to the federal courts. In his written complaint, he indicates that there was excessive force used in many of the incidents that I've previously mentioned. But he says that he believes that the deputies were intentionally not taking action. He reports that in some of these incidents, the deputies were looking at it and they took no action, and that they failed to report these incidents. In one place in the sheriff's reporting, they state that Samuel agreed to do a written report. In the federal complaint that he wrote, again, this is a handwritten complaint, he outlines a back and forth process that he was going through where he was struggling to get them to respond to grievances that he was putting in writing. Despite all of that history, our request to the sheriff's office for all of his written complaints, we got the response back that there are no written complaints. Now we know that can't be true because their own report states that he gave a written complaint, and his federal complaint outlines troubles that he had with him going back and forth on those complaints. August the 26th is the day that he was killed. He was in 7 South, he was in a cell. The sheriff's office gives a report that does not give any information about the interviews that were conducted with the inmates. And as I indicated, his father received a call indicating that they're going to charge the cellmate with homicide. The autopsy report indicates that there was blunt force trauma to the head, that he was strangled, that there was injury to his torso area, and multiple injuries, that he was the victim of homicide. That was the cause of death. And we believe that this occurring in 7 South, he had just reported about a month prior that he was attacked in 7 North. Now, the difference between this North and South, it was significant enough to him that when he was attacked in 4 South, when they tried to take him to 4 North, he yelled that he didn't want to be on the same floor. So even though 4 North is on a different side of the floor, to him, he thought, in order to be safe, I don't want to be on the same floor that I was on during the January incident. So now we have a situation where a month before his death, he's on the 7th floor. He reports an attack. Blood is all over his face. They see that he's been beaten. And he's on that same floor on the day that he's killed in a cell. So it is clear to us. Now, where I indicated that there could be more culpability on the part of the sheriff's office is in the wording of Samuel's written complaint, of the federal complaint. He says that inmates were watching some of these incidents, they were encouraging it, and beyond what he said, we don't have additional information about that, but we do know that the actions that were taken to protect him were clearly not sufficient, that someone that is reporting that they have received threats from gangs of violence, he's seen shanks, he's been beaten multiple times, that further action should have been taken. The county is responsible for the death of Samuel Lawrence. The Fulton County Sheriff's Office failed in its obligation to protect him, to keep him away from this violence. He died a gruesome, horrific, violent death, and the family of Samuel Lawrence wants justice. And I'll allow them to speak at this time.
If you could introduce yourself and tell you.
My name is Frank Richardson. I'm Samuel Lawrence's father. And I pray to my master, which is God, that he tells me what happened to my son. When I lay down at night, I think about my son, because I know how I taught him. He knew right from wrong. And as I talked to him, I told him, God is with you always. And as he cried out, there was no help. And that hurt me bad, because he was in there and he's supposed to be protected while he's in there doing whatever he had his time or whatever it is, but they didn't seem to help him. They did more harm to him. And as a man sit there and write all those letters and all this stuff, you know it couldn't be nothing but God. God touched him in a mighty way. And as he did what he had to do, he cried out and there was no help for him. And we know that the Lord is able to make things right. And whoever done it to him, God will see, he will get them. And I ain't got to worry about it, because I know my Father is good. And I praise him every day, because I know it could have been me. But right now I'm going for my son, and I want justice for my son, because I won't never get him back no more. And I'm praying for other people too, because he ain't the only one that's going through. There's other people that are going through things. So I wish that God touched that jail in a mighty way and straighten the system out, because it's not right. And that's why I'm without my son today.
Mr. Richardson, when did you get the call?
I got the call. I was on the way going to church one Sunday morning, and I can't name the date. But at the time when it hit me, I couldn't do no pull to the side of the road and tears come out my eyes, because I thought it was something at home that was going on. But when they told me, said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm headed down. I was picking up kids for Sunday school." So as they told me, it hit me like you know how you get slapped? Slapped me in my face. And the only thing I had to do was pull to the side, and tears come out my eyes.
When did you get the call about the report saying what actually caused your son's death?
I'm not sure the date, but it was last week. I just said last Tuesday. I got the call.
What were your initial thoughts and reaction once you got the results?
When I got the result, I said, God is able to tell what really happened to him. Maybe somebody, God has an angel in that jail going to tell it, because you can't keep that to yourself, because God has a way of bringing out the goodness out of anybody, no matter what they are and what position they have. But I say it just like this here. God is able to, he going to make sure everything is right. That's why I'm grieving right now, because that doesn't go away. I always got to think about my son. His birthday is coming up soon, and I got to think about it. You see, that's the thing about people don't understand that God give us life, and we want to live it more abundantly as we go from day to day. And as we live in life, we want to do the best that we can for ourselves and others. And Sam was crying out through those letters, trying to get someone to talk to him. And I know that they turn a deaf ear to him, because why would a man have to run around in a cage like an animal, and you got people that will protect you? So he's running just like you looking at the old days where you used to run in the bullpen, where the people used to run out there and kill animals and just have a good time. That's where Sam was an animal in the midst of people.
Outside of what happened here in the jail, what can you tell us about your son? What would you like to share with us about your son?
My son was a loving person, and all the kids in the neighborhood, everywhere around there, they love to see when's Sam coming by? I said, he'll be by sooner or later. He come by and talk and have a good time with him. Laughter, he liked to dance, he liked to, have his way of his music. His music, I'm old school. His music don't fit me, but I tell you, just like this, I like to hear him saying his little rapping songs and stuff. It made me laugh, but I said, my son, that's what I would say, my son, trying. He said, Daddy, I'm gonna please you. I said, no, son, you please God. Then you make me please when you please him.
What do you miss about him?
What I miss about him? Daddy, I did this, Daddy. I did that, Daddy. I said, Sam, you done a good job. He said, well, he helped me pick up some bricks at my cousin's house. And he was working hard. He said, Dad, I got through. I said, son, since you worked so hard today, you get to name anything you want to eat. And that's what he did. He told me what he wanted. We went and got it. But he said, Dad, I love you. That's what I'm gonna miss about him. He'll call me on the phone, Daddy, how you doing? I love you. See, that makes a lot for me because that's my son. No matter what people think, and I don't really care because God thinks of him more than I do because he's his before he mine. So I know that I have to share him with God. So I say this because God is able to fix things. And all we got to do is allow him in our life. And if we allow him in our life, everything gonna be all right. And I'm gonna be all right because I don't have to share too much tears. I know my son knew God for himself. He wouldn't have had time to write. You think about most people who wrote the Bible. They was in jail writing because they had more time. Sam had time to write out, but it went to Deaf Hill. So we got to understand that we have to keep God in everything that we do. The reason I'm saying that because that's what we really need. We just here for a little while. And I'm gonna miss my son because I got to think about him every day of my life. And I don't know when the pain stops. It never stops. Because you think about him on certain things you wanted him to be. He tried to play football and stuff. I wanted him to play football so bad, but I said, son, you do it your way. He said, Dad, I did it. I said, good. Whether he did it good or bad, I still love him, no matter what he done. That's my son. And if you never lost one, then you don't know how it feels. Until you lose one, you'll understand what I'm saying. And I believe in this. As long as we keep God first, everything gonna be all right.
Now that you know more about what happened inside the jail, do you think justice will be served?
I pray to God that he touched that jail and put people in place to help the other ones that are left behind. Because see, if you don't have no one to go to, that make you up against the wall. Then they wonder why we have so much crime. Because we don't spend time listening to people. Sometimes you have to listen to people. And sometimes you have to see what they're doing. And talk like the jail should be doing their job, watching the inmates instead of criticizing and getting into gangs and all this kind of stuff because I'm not there. But I hope that I'll never be there. But I say to this, God is everywhere. No matter where we go, he's everywhere. And if they do it right, everything gonna come out right. So
Thank you for sharing. What is next? What's the next step here? We have this press conference.
We are about to put our demand together and outline where we believe the wrongful actions of the sheriff's office have taken place over the course of his incarceration and present that to the county officials.
So is it safe to say you're considering a lawsuit?
We're definitely considering a lawsuit. We're going to try to initiate discussions with them first to see if that can be avoided.
So
Do you have copies of the letters he wrote?
We have copies of the autopsy report and the federal complaint where he outlined all of the various incidents here for each of you. And we'll
Is compensation what you're looking for?
Unfortunately, there's nothing in the legal system that can bring Samuel back. The system is what it is. The only mechanism that the law has is to compensate the family. We're going to seek that, and we want any other forms of justice that the investigations show are warranted.
Can we have those?
Yes.
Yes.